Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Dario here with another Options and Play video update. I figured I'd take the opportunity just to kind of get things rolling with earnings. I know a lot of my focus has been on earnings the last like week or so, or even like the last 2 weeks, but it's because earnings season always creates a ton of opportunities, right? Now, uh, that being said, not all sectors or stocks necessarily warrant earnings trades, right? You really need to weigh a bunch of factors when it comes to determining whether a stock or maybe a sector, right, it really worth putting money at risk for earnings, right? So you got to weigh the technical setups, you got to weigh the news, you got to weigh option pricing, right? So there's a lot that goes into it, and while the banks were definitely one of like the main news areas today, the overall action really hasn't been that spectacular, right? Um, Now, I guess to me, what I kind of want to drive home with the video is that earnings, the way I look at earnings is whether there is a technical setup or an interesting setup going into the report to warrant putting a trade on, and then after earnings has the narrative changed, right? So is there an interesting technical setup after the earnings report, right? So like those are kind of like the two like main things I really focus on, like right around the print, all right? Because a month from now, 2 months from now, it's a different story. I mean, things will change between now and then, but like in the immediate run up to earnings and then the immediate aftermath of earnings, has the narrative changed and has the technical picture changed to warrant trade, right? So the thing with the banks is they were okay to mixed, right? JP Morgan beat the lower expectations. There were some good, there were some bad. The stock really not doing a whole heck of a lot, right? Same thing with Citi. Beat expectations. There was some good, there was also some bad. The stock is kind of pulling back a little bit. Wells Fargo, which has easily been the weakest of the big money center banks, uh, wasn't particularly good. It bordered more closer to like the bad, and the stock is still kind of sliding in the downtrend, right? So what has really changed? They've reported earnings, yes, but has like the story kind of changed on them? No, I mean they're still looking for traction. Wells Fargo seems to be sliding, and Citi, which I thought was one of the best setups of the big banks going in, is still kind of looking for that explosive spark, right? I mean, it looked like it was going to go when it broke out on Friday, but the earnings just didn't change the narrative. They weren't enough to really spark the move on the banks, right? So as we get into tomorrow and later in the week, we have more bank earnings, and what I'm really watching is, are they going to be enough to change the narrative? Because if they're not, then is it really something like I really am dying to jump into right now, right? Like, are is it worth it to still pay slightly elevated option pricing because you have higher volume and still kind of some event risk, right? So that's definitely something you need to weigh. And right now, after earnings, it's like the banks still seem to be just kind of stuck in their ranges and slightly more uneventful, right? I mean, at least the first few reports don't seem to have changed the narrative much, nor have they really changed the technical landscape much, right? So as we get to Goldman, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley later this week, I'll see how those go, and then we'll really kind of have to make a determination whether it warrants putting trades on for maybe like swings, right? Like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a couple of months, right? So that's really how I approach stuff earnings season. And sometimes I put trades on into earnings and for the reports, and sometimes I put trades on right after. And right now, as banks roll out, now this is kind of what I'm weighing as I'm trying to figure out whether I want to put trades on or not. All right. So if you like this video and you're looking for more option trade ideas, more swing trade ideas, more earnings trade ideas with options, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options to play. All right, have a great night. Best of luck if you guys are playing anything earnings related. Stay well, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.